In this video, we're going to be building this login form using React.js. I'm going to show you from the beginning, get-go, how to set up your source control, how to create your React app, and how to style the component. So we are having this cool animation here on the edges of the login form. We're also having these links forgot password and a sign up, and of course the login button. Another very cool thing is that username and password are animated. So if we write something that's going to be legit a username, so for example, something like this, I can click anywhere in this form and I'm not going to get a hiding div, the same as I do a password. So as you can see, the password is actually hiding because we haven't written anything. If we write only 5 space bars, for example, based on the pattern, it's going to hide, showing you that you have not entered a correct password. So let's enter a correct password as well. And you can see that everything works fine. Now I can click on login. If I, of course, delete them and they are empty, they're not valid. So they are actually going to hide. So stay tuned if you want to see how you're going to build this app with me. And let's go. Okay, we are in Visual Studio Code. And the first thing that I'm going to do for this tutorial is to go here on source control. If you do not have it, just type Control-Shift-G. And that's going to bring source control. And the first thing that we want to do is to download Git for Windows. So let's do that. Okay, now that Git is actually installed in our system, we want to open folder, and what we're going to be opening is our current folder, which I forgot the name. So, oh yeah, open folder, G, and React login form. That's it. Let's open it. And if you go to source control, now we can actually initialize repository. So I'm not going to be explaining Git and GitHub in this tutorial. If you want me to explain Git and GitHub in details, leave a comment below. Now I'm just going to put my repository from GitHub so I can link them both. The first thing we want to do is to click initialize repository. So here, actually, now everything that we're going to be doing is going to be under source control. And now I just want to not merge, but rather to connect my Git with GitHub so I can not only publish into my folder and I have source control there, local, but also globally on GitHub, where you can actually see the things that I will be posting. So if you have problems with this tutorial following it, you can always go to my GitHub and you can take the code from there. All right. Okay, let's go on view command palette and I'm going to say remote. So this is going to be git add remote and my URL, your repository is going to be this one. So I'm just going to add it and remote name is going to be modern login form. Let's go like that. Good. Would you like to run git fetch? No, thank you. And currently I want to see if it's going to work. So let's test it out. I'm just going to create a new file. I'm going to call it HTML doc.html. I'm going to have doc here, tap, control S, source control, and here I can actually commit. So let's see if it's going to work. I'm going to type initial, commit. So let's commit. There are no stage changes. Would you like to say yes? All right, publish to branch. And if I do not get any error, all right, failed to authenticate git remote. Now this is happening because I cannot authenticate who is it that is actually pushing the change. So let's fix it. Upon clicking on publish to branch, I get this extension GitHub wants to sign in using GitHub, so I'm going to allow it. And here, obviously, I'm going to connect with my data. All right, so I did use this in order to sign, and currently, I do not know if we have published to the. I do not know if we have published to the branch. Let's check it out in GitHub. All right, we are in GitHub now, and if you go to master over here, you're going to see doc.html. And actually 3 minutes ago, there was a commit. So boom, this is our commit. So we have successfully got to GitHub. Good. Let's now close it and start working with our stuff. The first thing that we want to do is to open up CMD and be sure that you get this Node. You have to have Node in order to use Node package manager, so npm and npx. So download this, exit, okay. Exit. Download this. I'm going to provide you with a link. And after you have downloaded, I'm going to delete. Actually, I'm going to leave this doc. It doesn't bother me. I'm going to say npx create React app. And I'm going to call it login form. So enter. And here you're going to start loading. you will understand that everything is actually good, because at the end it's going to say to you happy coding or happy hacking. I don't remember. So let's wait for it and see the end result. All right, we're back, and you can see here this happy coding. Now, before we actually do continue, I'm going to leave this doc HTML and the source control. You can see all these shenanigans. And actually, let me just, I think this is better. So the source control figured out that we have quite a lot of stuff that we added, right? So before I do npm start, which is how you actually start your app, I'm going to go to the login form and delete a couple of stuff that we're not going to need. So app test.js is going to go, logo is going to go, report with vitals is going to go, setup tests is going to go. Here, this is going to go, this is going to go. I'm going to even delete this. We're rendering app. All right. This here is going to go. Actually, everything is going to go from here. Good. And app CSS is actually, should we remove that? We're already importing it. I'm not going to remove it. I'm just going to delete everything before we start. So that's pretty much it. And of course, here I'm going, I do hate when they put this in JavaScript. I'm just going to return a simple div and, oh, yeah. And I'm going to say h1 dot. Ooh, we do not have IntelliSense here. I have to add it. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say this. Hello world. Good. So we have deleted quite a lot of stuff, and now we're going to start it. Go to the source control and say added npx create react app commit, save and commit, and yes, with the stage changes. And finally, I'm going to push it to the branch. So this is going to be pushing it to the GitHub. While this is actually doing work, I need to start it. So the way I'm going to start it, I'm going to open up my terminal. And why is this thing loading? Yeah, it kind of bugged. So it's waiting. Now, while we're waiting, I'm going to go here and I'm going to ls. So I'm going to list the directory, and I have this login form. Now, keep in mind, when I created the React app, I did create the React app with login form names. So I have to go into the login form before starting. So that's, you're going to do cd login form, right? ls. And once you actually see node, public source, git ignore, and all of these stuff, type npm start. And that's it. Right, once it's actually done, it's going to tell you, okay, we are running on port 3000. And that's, you're going to come in here and type localhost. And there we go. This is our hello world, which is coming from app with a header 1. So this is all of the setup we need. So let's start doing the login form. Okay, so currently I'm going to be removing this header 1. Is the mic? Yeah, mic's all right. So I'm going to be removing this header 1, and I'm going to start with our login form. So usually you want div.something tab is going to give you div with a class name, but since I'm not going to be installing extensions now because it got long as an introduction, I'm just going to write div, and actually I'm going to use this one that I'm going to be returning. So this one is going to be class name, and this class name is going to be app, called app. So this is going to be the whole application that we're actually going to be doing. This is going to be storing our app. So the next one is going to be form. So here I'm going to say div.className, and this class name is going to be equal to form. Pretty simple. And oops, div. And here the class name is going to be, as we said, form. So the form is going to be looking like, you already seen it, but the form is going to be looking like this, with a username over here, with password over here, with a button. We're going to have this animation going from the corners. So, which is going to be the box. And currently I do want to say sign in, right? So in order for me to do that, I need to say header 2, and I'm just going to go with a simple sign in. That's it. Nothing fancy, no shenanigans. So currently I'm going to create 2 input boxes. The 2 input boxes are going to be for the password and the username. So currently I'm going to say div. This class name over here is going to be equal to input box, right? And also I'm going to actually copy it and paste it over here because we're going to have two input boxes. These are going to be for our password and for our, what was it? Username, yes. Good. So here we want to have an input tag. So I'm going to say input and self-close. Here we're going to have type is going to be equal of text. And we're going to say required is going to be equal to required. I'm going to explain why later on. And of course, in this input, in this div, I want to create a span and I'm going to say username. So this is going to be the username. And finally, I can just either break line. Not entirely sure what to do in the end, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Good. So this is actually done. And the final part for the input stuffs are the input. Again, with the self-closing tag. Here we're going to have type is going to be equal to password. I'm going to say required. In order to be valid, we need to be requiring it. And here I am going to show you something that we're going to be writing. So I'm going to write a pattern, and the pattern is going to be this regular expression over here, right? So I want to take this pattern in order to validate if my password is going to be valid. Of course, it's going to be taking these characters, and from 9, we're not going to be allowing any special characters, and we're going to be allowing 20 characters at maximum. Otherwise, it's not going to be valid. All right, great. And the final part that we are going to do is obviously copy the span, put the span over here, and call password, because this is going to be the password field. Now, currently, we are having these two divs, and we're going to see how they look like. But the final part for us is to do the links. So we have a forgot password and sign up link, usually in a login form. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to say div over here with a class name, and this is going to be links. We can call them helper links, but I'm just going to go with links because it's easier. Good. So currently I'm going to create an A tag, and I will be saying href is going to be equal to nothing for now. All right, I'm not entirely sure what's happening with this Bandicamp license. It's working sometimes and sometimes it's not. It's not working very good, to be honest. So I do not know where it stopped, but we were writing the A. So currently the A is going to be nothing. So it's just not going to point to anywhere. We're going to copy this, leave it like this. And here the first one is going to be forgot password. We write it like this. And the next one is going to be sign up. All right, that's it. And I think that's going to be it. So finally, we're going to have an input. So I'm going to say an input of type submit. Submit. And I'm going to say value login. Good. So let's actually see what we have. I'm going to list here cd to the login form in order for me to npm start. All right, opening up a Google and going to localhost is going to bring this. It is very ugly, but it's actually everything that I want. I have the login, I have these stuff, which actually bring nothing here to the URL because obviously we told them not to bring anything. And currently they're not working. Okay, good. Let me just see. All right, yeah, it's working. Good. So this is the form. Thanks for watching. The final part for us is, of course, to go and actually style what we've got. So let's do that. Okay, so for the styling part, I'm going to be using app CSS, and I'm going to put it here onto this side, even though I think, is this all right? I think it is. Good. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to say, okay, for everything, I'm just going to be putting margin 0, padding 0, and of course, the standard box sizing for the box. Good. Now I'm going to be working with my body, and my body is going to be a display flex, so df. Now I'm going to have a justify content center, align item center. I will also align them. So align item center. Then I'm going to create a minimum height in order for me to remove the scroll. So I'm just going to say height is going to be 100 VUH and background color is going to be black. So currently what I have is, if I go to Chrome localhost, you're going to see this. Perfect. Good. So as you can see, there is no scroll. Everything is actually working fine. And just give me 1 second because somebody typed me something. All right, good. So as we expected, as you can see, everything is aligned to the center and we're actually having this form, which is looking rather nice. So let's go back to the CSS. And actually, I'm not going to close this. I'm going to minimize it. Good. So as you can see, this is the whole body. And in order for me to actually style the whole form, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to target this app div over here. So I'm going to say .app. And I'm going to do the following. So first, I'm going to give it a relative position. And then I'm going to give it some width and height. So I'm just going to go with some standard numbers, which is 350. And let's go with height being 400. So background color is going to be something like dark, but a little bit like gray. So I have this color over here that you can see, and you can also change it. As you can see, it's going from gray to black. Let's see how this is going to work out. I'm going to give it a border radius f8 pixels, and I'm going to say overflow hidden. So let's see how it's going to, oops, not this. Let's see how it's going to work. And it seems like I closed it. So localhost. And here is actually the form currently. So everything that is outside of this form is going to be hidden because of the overflow. So all the shenanigans over here are going to be hidden. And we are going to be using this because I want everything outside of this thing to be hidden. And I want only this animation over here. So it doesn't really matter for now. We just have this form, which is starting to look good currently. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the animation, or at least try to create the animation because we do not have the cream frames yet. So I'm going to say app and I'm going to write before. So before we actually do the app, this is what we're going to do. And the app is this div over here. So first of all, I'm going to give it a content, pretty much no, and I'm going to give an absolute position. So position absolute. Now I'm going to put it onto the left. So I'm going to say top minus 50%. And I'm going to say left minus 50%. I'm going to show you what we have, but let's just do it first. Width, I'm going to go with the same width and height as this one. So it's going to be pretty much the same, right? Just like this. Then I'm going to go with the background, and the background is going to be linear gradient. So this is going to switch from one color to other. 0 degrees, I'm going to go with transparent. And then I'm going to be choosing orange. And I figured out that with orange, blue kind of goes well. So you can either, let me just do this. So you can either choose blue, or you can just go to this color and pick something that you like for example, this one, like purple. If you want to see the numbers, these are the numbers. Good. So we have the background. Now I'm going to go with transform origin, and I'm going to go bottom right. Good. So I'm going to Control S, and I'm going to show you what we got. Let's go to localhost, and this is what we've got currently. Now, one thing I want to show you, if I do remove the top and left, obviously they're going to be like this, and you can see that orange and kind of bluish looks very good. At least I like it pretty much. And also, oops, what's very interesting is I'm going to leave the top and left. I'm going to remove the overflow here in the app, and you're going to see this. So as I said, overflow, everything that's outside of this range, I do not want to see in my form. That's why I say overflow hidden. Let's go overflow hidden here in app. And here, I think that is all right. All right, good. So currently it's not doing much. We want to animate it going like this. Let's see how this is going to work out. And of course, the transform origin is used for the start of the animation. If you're familiar with Unity, you're going to see this as an easy, because transform, we have vectors, we have XYZ. And here we are saying that bottom right is going to be our origin, meaning bottom right, this thing over here, and we're going to be rotating it like so, right? We're going to rotate it like this. Good. So here, what I need to write is animation, and I need to say what kind of an animation what I want, and I want a login animate. Let's just go with just animate 5 seconds, and I'm going to say linear infinite. This is going to give me an animation. Currently, we are going to be having problems because, as you can see, I actually have 2 times. I have it open 2 times, so I'm going to close the one. So as you can see, it's not moving. In order for it to move and do something, I need to be writing keyframes. So down here, I'm going to say keyframes, and I'm going to give the name of this animate over here. So animation is going to have a name, and you need to provide this name here in the keyframes. So currently it's animate, that's why keyframes animate. And we're going to say at 0%, I want the transform to be rotated 0 degrees. And I want at 100%, so this is at the end of the animation, I want the transform to be rotated 360. So as you can see here, if we're talking math-wise, 0 degrees and 360 doesn't really matter. So if I have something like this, right, we have 90 degrees. Ooh, sorry, that's very bad. We have 90 degree. Okay, let's go with green. We have 90 degrees over here. Then we have 180 degrees over here. We have 270. And then we have 360/0 degrees. So pretty much they're all the same. But what I'm saying is that at the start, so at 0 seconds, I am going to be here at 0 degrees. And at 5 seconds, I'm going to be again here at 360 degrees, which is going to be obviously rotating it like this. So let's actually see Control S, and let's see what is it that we've done. As you can see, it is rotating from this angle because we said bottom right. So this is actually bottom right. And it took this square and just rotates it like this. All right. So as you can see, this is the animation that we've got. Okay, so currently it's not looking very good. It's actually looking very shitty. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be leaving an area like this for the animation to run, and we're going to be having the form here. So let's continue working. So in order for me to touch this thing over here and actually, and actually make it as such, I need to be touching another div. So what div am I actually going to switch? I need to be choosing the div where I'm going to be holding the inputs. So as you can see, the inputs are over here. This is the, okay. So as you can see, the inputs are right over here. So I should be targeting form. So let's actually go with form. And currently I'm going to create a absolute position. Again, when you're using absolute, keep in mind that its parent app has a position relative. So this is very important when you're using absolute positions. So position absolute inset is going to be equal to 15 pixels. I'm going to show and explain why. I'm going to choose a background and not color, but rather just simple background with light gray. I always choose light gray when I do not know what to choose. I'm going to make a border radius of 10 pixels because I just like the number. Then I'm going to choose a Z index of 100, right? Because I always want to see it first hand. Then I'm going to go with a little bit of padding, so 50 and 40 pixels. Display is going to be flex, and flex direction is going to be column. So let's actually see what we've done. Boom. Now, what is the inset doing? Obviously, the padding is going to take care of this, right? But the inset is taking care about how large do you want this thing to be. So if I say inset of 150 pixels, you can see that this now is going to change like so. So 150 is quite a lot, but if I choose, I don't know, 40 pixels, you can see that my animation border got rather big. So now this is actually 45 pixels rather than the 15 that we actually had. And if you do not want to make it so big, you can always choose something smaller like 5, Control S, and you're going to get this, which is very, very slick in my opinion. It's very small, right? It is very small, but I do think that it's very slick. I mean, usually in production code, I would want something like this because it looks very nice. But since I want the the inset to be seen, because this is for YouTube and usually people like visual stuff, I am going to put it as 15 pixels and I'm going to be leaving it like this. The background is going to be light, so this is the background over here. Border radius is going to be this thing over here, so we do not want this edge to be like this. So we do not want the edge to be like this, rather we want it to be like this, right? So that's the border radius that you can actually choose. The padding is obviously going to be this thing over here. The space, display is going to be flex, and flex direction is going to be column, so everything is going to be downwards. And if, of course, if I remove the padding, you're going to see what this is happening. It's placing the sign-in right on the start of the edge. So that's it for the form. Let's actually bring our padding in, and you can see that now it's actually starting to look very, very decent. We're having all of the things that we actually had in the beginning. So currently it's actually looking rather good, I believe. So let's continue styling the sign-in, username, password, and all of these buttons and stuff. All right, so currently what we can see is the sign-in. I do want it in the middle. So I'm going to say .form, and I'm actually going to target the H2. So I'm going to choose a black color. Then I'm going to go with a little bit both sides. I want it to be in the center. And of course, I want to have a little bit of layer spacing. So that's going to be 0.1 rem. Let's see how this is going to work. And I think that this is better in my eyes. Now you can play around with the color, obviously. But actually, this is looking nice. Very extravagant. But again, I'm just going to go with black. You can't go wrong with black. All right, the header is done. Let's go on to the inputs. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say input box, and I'm actually going to say relative positions, because here we're also going to do stuff that are absolute. I want to make sure that everything is going to be right. I'm going to choose the width, and I'm going to say margin top. Come on, margin top, 35 pixels. So I just want them to be a little bit spaced out. So this is what I'm going to get. Again, when you click, you're going to have an animation. And that's why if this animation occurs, I want to be sure that it's relative. All right, let's go down here. And now we're going to be styling the inputs. So input box, input, and let's see what we're going to have here. All right, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to say position is going to be relative. Then I'm going to choose the width, which is going to be 100%. I'm going to create some padding, and I'm going to go with 15 pixels, 10 pixels, 10 pixels. I'm doing this in order to remove, so let's say that I'm going to have username over here, password over here. I'm going to remove the outline. So pretty much now what I expect is if the form is going to be looking like this, then I'm going to have just username over here and password over here without fields. So you can just click on them. Let's see if this is going to work out. I'm going to say border none, and I'm going to say outline none as well. Then I'm going to choose a color, and the color that I'm going to be choosing is, I don't know, something dark, 23232A, for example. Yeah, why not? Then I'm going to go with font size, 1 rem. I just want to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to choose a Z index to be sure that I'm going to be looking at them, so something big. And letter spacing is going to be rem. All right, let's actually see how this is going to work out. Again, it seems like I closed it, so localhost. Oh my God, come on. Good. And boom, there we go. Now it's not looking as I wanted to. So something stuck up, definitely. And let's go with, oh yeah, yeah. The background should be transparent. All right, how about this? Good. So as you can see, I am able to click and I'm able to write. Obviously the password is a type password, that's why it's hiding it. And this is the username. Good. So this is pretty much what I want, right? When I click, then I'm going to have the animation. And if I have a valid username, then the animation is going to stick. So now what we need to be doing is to be actually working with the span, which is going to be the username. That's the next thing that I'm going to be working with. So I'm going to say input box. I'm going to go with span. The span is going to be holding the username and the password, so texts. So this is going to be absolute position. Again, input box span, but the input box is of type relative. That's why I'm adding absolute here. I can add without no problems. If you have problems with looking differently, be sure that your parent has a relative position. So left is going to be equal to 0. I'm going to choose a padding, for example, 15 pixels, 0 pixel, 10 pixels, something like this. Font size is going to be 1 rem. Color, I have no idea about the color. I'm just going to go with something that I know from the past, like a little grayish. I think that's all right. I can make it a little bit whiter, but I think that's okay. Then I'm going to say letter spacing 0.08 rem, and I'm going to have a transition of 0.5 seconds. Good. Let's see how this is actually going to work out. Constantly closing it. Good. So as you can see, now they are looking as a little bit grayish, and I can actually click on them. They're not staying down here because keep in mind I made them absolute, so their position switched over here. They're usually here, right? So now I'm actually able to click them and write on it. It's actually looking very ugly, but that's what we're going to be working with. All right, let's now make it as if I want to actually click and have stuff to write. I'm going to move the letters US, username and password up, scale them a little bit, and change their colors. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to target input box. Then I'm going to say if input is valid, I'm going to target span, and also not valid only, but if it is focused. So if it's either focused or valid, and keep in mind valid means that here I'm within this pattern over here. This is a valid password for me currently. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change a color. So I'm going to have a dark orange. Then I'm going to say font size 0.75 rem. So I'm making it smaller. And of course, I'm transforming it. So I'm going to transform to X of 0 pixels and translate Y minus 35 pixels. So obviously I'm gonna, when clicking on the username, when clicking on the username, this is gonna be username. When clicking on it, I'm gonna put it up and actually make it smaller. So let's actually see if this is going to work out. Again, I did close, always closing it. So there is the form. It's actually beginning to look very nice. And if I click, boom, it's actually going up and it's changing color to dark orange. So one thing to note is here I'm going to type 5 times space, and if I click somewhere aside, you can see that the password is coming down, and this is indicating that I am not within the pattern that I set up. For reference, if I type something else like a real password and I out-click it, you can see that now this is actually standing, and I can click on username, I can write hello world, and this is going to be completely valid. Now I can click wherever and nothing is actually going to change. So if I type spaces over here, this is a valid username, I suppose. You can write your own patterns, but if I type a lot of spaces over here, this is not a valid password and I'm not able to log in. Good. So currently what we have is if we're actually focusing it, it's doing this animation. And if we are writing something legit, so if it's valid, it's also continuing to do these things. Right, very nice, very nice. I think it's beginning to look very beautiful and very good. So let's continue making it even better. Okay, in order for me to actually put with this div that you actually see, so if I go to clicking on the password and the password is going up, but I want this to be filled, so I want this to be filled, I need to create something else. So I'm going to use an I tag right below the span username and of course right below the span of password. So currently what I'm going to do is I'm going to say input box of I, and we're going to be starting to styling it. All right, the first thing that I want is to have an absolute position because we're obviously going to change the position of this. Then I'm going to say bottom and left are going to be 0. I'm going to choose a width of 85 or 80%. We're just going to see and play around with that. And I'm going to choose an initial height. Initial height is going to be something like 2 pixels, or we can even go with 1 because at initial time, we're going to have like a little line over here, and here we're going to have username, a little line, and here we're going to have a password. Once you actually click, the password is going to go up, and this line is going to transform into a squarish type, a rectangle, right, where we can write something. So I'm going to go with a background color that I do like, and I did on my tests. So this is 255.818.181.43.0.744. So this is something that I do like, and you can always change around with the colors. I'm going to give it a border radius of 5, not 4 pixels. Then I'm going to go with a transition. I'm going to choose a transition. I'm going to say pointer events are going to be equal to none, and I'm going to choose Z index of type 10. Good. So let's actually see what we got. I'm going to go over here, and you're going to see that these are the lines that I have been talking about. And once you click it, these lines are going to become like this rectangle over here, right? So upon clicking it, only username and password are happening. And here is the problem that I have mentioned. So this is going to be 80%. 80%. But I do want it to be, I don't know if I want it to be 85 or something like that. I think that's okay though. That seems okay. So now it's pretty much the same thing. What I need to do is I'm going to say input box, input valid, and I'm going to target I. And also not if valid, but also if it's focused, right? So if it is focused, I'm going to target I. And here I'm going to just do something, and this something is height of 35 pixels. So let's actually see, this made a big change. Whenever I actually click on username, you can see that username goes up, and I'm greeted with this rectangle. So actually it's looking very nice. And now when I write something and I click on password, it's going to stay. If I have space bars here, since it's not a legit password, it's going to go empty, right? So as you can see, now it's staying, and if I delete everything, they're going to go back to normal, letting me know that I need to write my password and my username. Currently, what is bothering me is this thing over here. I do not know if they are the same. They look the same to me, but if I do 100% over here on the width, so if I go 100, actually 85, I'm gonna go, you're gonna see that it increased. And I do not know how I like it, to be honest. I'm gonna go with 80. I think I liked it with 80, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that. All right, we have this out of the way, and the final thing that we need to be discussing and actually doing are the links. So let's go with links. This class name over here, links, and I'm just going to say display is going to be equal to flex, and justify content is going to be equal to space between. So I do want to have space between them because they are actually stuck. I forgot password and sign up, and currently I do not have any space between. Not entirely sure why. If I actually do this, this is the div. And what about space evenly? It's still not doing anything. Not entirely sure why is that. Okay. Oh yeah, definitely. Dot links. Good. Space between. Let's see now. All right, good. That is what I wanted. Nice. Then we are going to change on hover stuff. So I'm going to say dot links on hover. And also, I want to choose the second child, which is going to be my thing sign up over here. And I'm going to go with dark orange because I like it. All right, let's actually see. On sign up, as you can see, is forgot password. And here I can just sign up, click it. Good. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to leave it like this, but for now, this is going to be the case. Let's take care of our submit button. So what I'm going to do is, since here we have an input type submit, I'm just going to say input, and here type is going to be equal to submit. So let's start styling it. Border is going to be none. Outline is going to be none because I do not want it to look I forgot the English word, but I do not want it to be very eye-catching. Background color is going to be dark orange because this is our theme, or we can go with black. I'm going to choose something. Padding is going to be 10 pixels and then 15 pixels, and I do want to see how this is looking. All right, I guess I'm just going to go with 25 over here. I think this is looking better. Good. Now I'm going to go with 100%. I want to see how this is looking because I think we have problems with diff. Okay, it's not changing at all. Cursor pointer, I need to say. Cursor pointer. Then I'm going to go with border radius 5 pixels. So let's see. Okay, there we go. There we go. It's looking better. I'll probably need to give it margin top, but margin top 15 pixels. Yeah, okay, that is better. Then I'm going to go with font weight 600 just to make it a little bit bold. There we go. All right, it's beginning to look like something decent. The color here probably can be a bit darker orange, but I think it's the same color, or at least very similar color to damn it, to this one. So I'm gonna leave it because I think it's looking nice. Okay. And what's left for us to do is what is going to happen when we actually hover on the button. So I'm going to copy this, say hover. And here we're going to border none, outline none. Again, I do not want anything. Background is going to be left to orange. So first it's dark orange, then it's orange. It's going to be a little bit, let's see it actually in action. Yeah, so you can see it's highlighting a little bit. I can even put, probably, I can say box shadow, and I can say some whitish, just to make it a little bit like, I'm not entirely sure if I see it. What about white? It's very subtle. Nah, I think I'm gonna be good with that. Good. So padding is going to be the same as this one. I do want it to be the same. I do not want it to move. Margin top is going to be what it is here, 15 pixels. So let's, I don't know what happened, but I'm going to Control Z. Yeah, margin top, 15 pixels. Cursor is going to be pointer, and font weight is going to be 600. Also, border radius is going to be 10 pixels because I want to see how this is going to look. It's actually looking very bad because it's squishing them in. And yeah, I think I'm just going to be with, what was it here? 5 pixels. We're just going to leave it to 5. Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's far better. And that's pretty much it. One thing that I want to do and I see is that this forgot password here is looking rather very, very ugly. So that's the final thing that I'm going to change. And I'm going to say the links. And in links, I'm going to be taking the A's. So I'm going to say margin. I'm going to put 10 pixels 0 because I want it to be a little bit away from the password. That's okay. Now I'm going to go with font size. I'm going to make it 75 rem just to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to choose, I don't know, gray color, but let's go with antique white to see how this is going to look. And text decoration is going to be none because it's very bothering to me with these lines. So if I go over here, it's looking rather very ugly. So it's not going to be antique white. It's going to be something like grayish, something like this. And you can actually see forgot password over here. I do believe that it's rather small. I would like it to be a bit bigger, probably. Let's go 1 RAM, so something like this. Yeah, I think that's okay. And there is our form, everyone. I think that we've done everything, so let's actually make it a little bit bigger just so we can see it. And boom, there is our form, modern form with React. Here you can type your username, your password, forgot password is light up, and sign up. I think the sign actually bothers me quite a lot. Let me just remove it. Sign up. Or just create an account. Okay, let's see if this is gonna work better. create an account, and it's very big, so I'm just going to leave it as sign up. Good. Sign up. All right, let's see how this is working. Good, good. So I kind of like it like this. Username, password, and boom, login. Forgot password, sign up. There we go. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next one. I am going to be working with the MERN stack very, very soon. So this is going to be something that we're going to be looking at in a couple of, not days, but the next projects that are coming are going to be very, very interesting ones and based on very real world problems. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I like it quite a lot actually. It's looking actually very good.